Hey guys, it's Robin, RsIslandCrafts, and welcome to my craft room. This video is going to be part of the fabric postcard series. Today I'm going to show you one of the simplest ways to make these cards. Because let's say you're thinking, oh Robin, I don't feel very creative, I can't do an art card, I'm not an artist, I'm a quilter, or I don't even sew. Well, that's okay because you can still make these cards. Today I'm going to show you how to let the fabric be the artist for you. There's these amazing fabric designers out there. Some of them go through college and art school and design and all this stuff, and they come up with all the different colors, and the fabric is just there for us to use. We don't even have to think about it. So you can just go to your Joann's, Michael's, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, wherever it is, online, wherever you get your fabric, and maybe start looking at some of the novelty fabrics or the themed ones, and you can find all different fabric that's going to fit your need. What if you want to make these for Christmas cards instead of regular Christmas cards and you want to mail these out to your friends and family? Just find some really fun Christmas fabric that has a nice overall design, or something where you can cut out just one thing and it'll give the feeling of what you want. And then you don't have to be, this could be your creativity right here. Someone else has done it for you. If you need to make a bunch of these for maybe a birthday and you want to send out invitations, and your kid is really into the superheroes, just go ahead and find fabrics for that. You can cut out the pictures and the designs, and they're going to do all the work for you. Another option is they have these, you can buy like a yard or two or whatever of the fabric books for the little kids. You know how they come out with the little, they have the pages in here. You can see I've already cut one out here, and then you just cut out the pages and you make a fabric book for the kids. Well, you can use these designs right here. I mean, okay, this one's going to be bigger than 4x6, but you can still find a way to put your postcard on here to pick out what elements you want of it. Maybe you just want to have the flower, maybe you need to have a little sunshine, or you like the zebra. You have all these beautiful details. Here's one about bears. When I grow up, I want to be some type of a person. So you can have, if you want to send out a little artist, you can just cut out this little piece. Then you can add a background fabric. And everything's done for you. You really don't have to think too hard about these. So you got the whole bear, you got the little tiger, you got a parrot. You can just use the, what we got here? That one looks like an alligator. You can just take elements off of these or of any type of fabric that you find and use that for your postcard. I had an amazing recommendation for when I'm doing my rare bears to go to the Dollar Tree and get one of those flexible see-through white plastic cutting boards. You can take that and cut out a little 4x6 shape. Take that with you to the fabric store and you can lay that right on your fabric. You can't see through this, but you know what I'm talking about. You can lay it on your fabric and see if the design of that fabric will fit into your 4x6 shape. See this guy right here? He'd be pretty cute. Even if you lost a little bit of the umbrella, the whole feel of the umbrella would be there, and your viewer and the person you send this to is going to understand that that's what that is. Just think about how many postcards you can make out of just one of these fabric book panels. Very, very cute. So when you're looking at the store, at the different fabrics, just go ahead and keep your eye open to see what's available for you, because you might be able to find something and then you won't have to worry about actually creating the design. There's so many designers, like I said, that have made smaller patterns or some of those larger flowers that would still fit on here. That would make a beautiful fabric postcard. Here's a little zebra I cut out. I wanted to keep a little bit of the cloud up here, so I kind of went a little extra, and I just kind of let it be rough and ragged. It doesn't have to be perfectly square, unless of course you feel that you need it to be. Then cut it out however you want. I went a little rounded over here to give a little bit of a dimension and shape, because he's coming outside of the line of the picture book. And then I just used this blue fabric for the background, so it kind of resembled the sky to me and outside, and I thought blue would go really good with this. And from the bear book, I found this. I thought this would be wonderful for a nursery for newborn. You can send this postcard, and then if you want, you could send a frame and a postcard, and so it goes into a package. Or they could pick up their own, and they can hang this up in the kids' room, in the baby's room, and it would be a really nice thing. A lot of the picture frames, you can also either hang them on a wall, or they come with that little easel back so they can sit on a table. It'd be really nice on a cute little dresser in a baby's room. So when you're out shopping, keep your eyes open because you never know what type of fabric you might find, and there's a lot of cute things out there. And since you're making fabric postcards at a 4x6, you really don't need to buy that much fabric. Some places will sell it to you by the inch, otherwise you might have to buy a 9-inch strip, and then you can have several different ones. Or after you make one postcard, you'll still have all the rest of the strip, and you can make a little pouch or something with it. Another thing to keep your eye out for is the appliques. This was a fusible applique. I had ordered something on eBay, oh my goodness, probably a good 15 years ago. And in the package, they sent this little ducky applique. I thought it was the cutest thing. And I've been saving it because I never could figure out exactly what I wanted to do with it. Apparently, he wanted to be a fabric postcard. Because look at that. He fits perfectly. There was a little bit of extra of this water underneath. I think it came down to about here. And I just went ahead and I ironed it onto my postcard, onto my stiff felt and my background here. So this would look like a dark stormy night or some dark ocean or something. And then I just trimmed off the extra. I left enough to make sure it looks like water, and I didn't chop off his head. So he turned out really well. And I think this is going to be a cute one for either a rubber ducky or duck lover, or once again, it could go in a child's nursery. You know, right on the back of the postcard, congratulations, or use it as a little birth announcement. See, someone else has done all the work for you, and all you have to do is just stitch around to hold this down. Okay, so we're going to start with this. It's Smile, Friends, Simplify, Live, Love, Laugh. I cut this out exactly 4x6. Give it a little press to make sure it's nice and flat and wrinkle free. Now I want to go ahead and adhere it to my stiff felt. Or if you're using batting or whatever else you decided to use in the center, you can use regular felt. You can use, if you want a little poofy, you could probably use the polyester batting. It's always worth a try. It doesn't really matter because everything is going to be stitched together and it's going to hold together. And if you decide to put it in an envelope, you can make it any way you want. So I have my stiff felt, and I have the top layer of my postcard. It's cut to the same size. Now I can just take this right to my sewing machine, and I can just maybe go ahead and put a couple of stitches on it like that, or go on a meander. I can put a big heart in the center. However I want to quilt this, it's going to be fine. I can just take it over like this, like I said, with no adhesive. I can use some glue stick just to stick it down in a couple places to hold this in place. I'm not going to put any pins into the stiff felt. Because if you put a pin in it, it's going to kind of get it all bent up. But I can use my little clover clips to hold this. When we finish off these postcards, we're either going to be putting some binding on it, or we're going to stitch it around the edges like this. So if you wanted to say, that's it, Robin, I don't want to play your game no more, this is my postcard. You don't even have to attach this with any stitching or with any adhesive or glue. It's going to hold itself together. It's only 4x6. It's not going to go through the wash or anything. It's decoration. You can call it quits right there. But let me show you what I do. I have one of these Teflon adhesive, non-adhesive mat things where you can, you iron on your applique and nothing sticks to it. This one happens to be a Fons and Porter. What I currently use for an adhesive is I'm using a Heat and Bond Light. I have a lot of this in my stash right now, so there's a couple other ones I'd like to try. You don't need anything too heavy duty. Now, if you use the Heat and Bond, I don't know exactly what it's called, heavy, strong. It's a non-sewable kind. You just iron it on and then you're done, and it's supposed to hold it there. And since, like I said, we're not washing these, then you wouldn't have to do anything and you'd be all done. But I like to go ahead and just, I'm a quilter. It's just kind of fun to add to quilting. So I use the Heat and Bond Light. You can also buy it by the yard at Joann's. This one I have is Pellon 805 Wonder Under. If I had to choose between the two, I would probably go with the Wonder Under before the Heat and Bond Light. I don't know, it's just something, this is one I use all the time. I'm used to it. I know how it acts and stuff like that, but they're both perfectly great products to use. So use whatever keeps you happy and that you might happen to have in your craft room. Now, as we know, I'm a scrap saver, so I save all of my This one happens to be before I was sorting it properly. I do have some fusible interfacing, but I also have the heat and bond and the Pell on here. I just saved little pieces like this. Because for the project we're doing, you could cut an entire 4x6 piece and stitch it all down and everything would be great. Or you can just take pieces like this, and look, it's close enough in size. It's only a little bit off. It's not that big of a deal. It's still going to hold this. Since we're only putting on one piece of fabric, it'll hold it fine. Some of the other ones I've already made, the other postcards, I just used little pieces like this. Stuck it in the center, and I used it up. Now you're going to need to follow the directions for whatever product you're using. I like to use this mat because if I were going to be putting something down like this and I had my adhesive that was sticking off to the side, it wouldn't stick to my ironing board. But because this is 4x6 and this is just a little piece, it's going to be perfectly safe. Follow your directions. Now the felt tends to stick. Don't freak out. As long as you know you got your adhesive in the right direction, it'll be fine. I don't use any steam on mine and I don't hold it for very long. But then now the thing is you have to wait till this is actually cool to the touch before you peel it off. If we were to peel it right away, you're going to see like a spider web of the adhesive come right off with it. This one's not too bad because it's been sitting already a little bit, but you can see how some of it wants to pull away. So you don't want to waste your adhesive. If it starts to pull up like this because you did it too soon, go ahead and just put it back down and iron it again. If you're doing like I do an assembly line, I go ahead and make up a bunch of these, set them to the side, let them cool as I'm going through, and when I finish the last one, I go back to the first one and I can start peeling them. I don't save this. I'm sorry. If you had a larger sheet, you can use it as a pressing cloth or something like that. But little pieces like this, I do throw things away. Then I just put my fabric down. And once again, following the manufacturer's directions. There you go. And that's as simple as these are. Just using one stranded, you just take the basic fabric, whatever you fall in love with, and use it as your postcard. Now I can, like I said, we're going to have a different video where I show you different ways to finish these. But for now, this is actually done. And it's ready for the next step. Now if you choose, we can go through and just put some stitches on this and hold it in place. Quilt it any way you want. You can hand stitch through this if you wanted to add extra decorations, if you wanted to put beads or sequins or anything like that. But today's video, we're just doing very, very simple. Iron it down, and that's it. We're all done. Now I have all of these to iron down and get them all fused on. So come back later and I'll have the next video and I'll show you the next step. As I've mentioned previously, I went ahead and I put a whole bunch of different color thread into this cute little bobbin keeper. I haven't tested it out yet. Look at that. They don't even shake out. This is the first time I've ever used one of these. When it's all the way full, it's a little bit hard to get the bobbins out, but this is kind of a bit of a soft spot here. So you can, it's the rubber, you can push up on it and it spreads it out a little like you see to get the bobbins out. But this way I had, this isn't all my thread, but I went with my main yellows and a little bit of the purples and the main colors, just so as I'm going through, I can just pull it out, throw it in the machine, change the top thread, and go. If I had to stop to wind each of these bobbins every time, I would never get anything done. I also keep some scrap fabric near my sewing machine so I can test out stitches to see how I want them, to check the stitch length and such like that. It doesn't matter if the tension's not perfect because I just wanted to see what the stitches look like. So before we go, I thought you might want to see what the little stitching I did on these postcards. On the Batman, I just made that little asterisk look through him. Like I said, you don't have to stitch anything down, but I don't know, I just kind of like to sew. The turtles, they just got this little wavy stitch like water. Now I know there's a good chance that this flower is actually growing in the grass and these are land turtles, but when I think of turtles I think of water and this little stitch is always fun to do, so I put that on. Here's the applique. I stitched right on the inside as best as I could. Didn't worry too much because as you can see, it's not that noticeable. I used yellow, and then I also outlined just along this blue. Now these parts, if the fusible comes up a little bit, because I didn't use my fusible, this already had fusible stitched onto it. So I just used whatever was on here, and I just did those little stitches just to hold it down. And to go from here, instead of starting and stopping, I just kind of snuck right along the edge because yellow, it's yellow everywhere, and this orange is not going to really show up the yellow too much. Like I said, you can just stitch these out however you want. I just used my regular machine as I was going. I just kind of wiggled and wobbled it around. Tried to stay outside of all the designs so that it wouldn't get black thread on them. Followed the grid work. Nothing fancy. Like I said, you can do these really quick. If you choose all fabric that has the same type of background, you're going to use like black thread on all of them, you can just whip them through without even having to worry about changing your thread. This guy, I used the wave thing also. I'd chosen the wave on my machine, but I forgot to actually press the button, so it started out straight, so I left it like that. Threw one over there to match it, and made the rest of them wavy. You have a lot of the sewing machines nowadays have lots and lots of fun stitches on them. If you haven't really used them, check out the different ones, test them out on a piece of fabric and see what you like. For the zebra, I just went ahead and I followed the outline in a light gray or a white, I don't remember. And everything is held down nicely. It's a little bit padded feeling from the stiff felt and from the layers, a couple layers of fabric. I don't have to go into deep detail because he's going to stay together perfectly fine. Then I went ahead and just did some free motion on some of them. Right after I show off these, I'll put up a little small video on how I free motion these. It's really not difficult at all. It's a lot easier even than if you were trying to free motion a quilt. So as you see, I just kind of wiggled and ziggled all around. This one I didn't follow any of the patterns on the fabric. I just thought it's butterflies. These are butterfly trails. Voila. Then this was the last one I did, and I'd previously done this one with the pink thread, and I really didn't want to change the pink out for a tan just for one postcard. So I left him pink. It seems to work okay, and I just kind of went and made a trail around all of the crabs. Little Mickey Mouse. After I got done, I wasn't sure if these kind of look like devil horns, Mickey ears, or maybe the little I love you sign, but I thought once I was finished that it kind of looked funny that I did that. So I didn't even have to worry about any of this. I just left it as it is. This fabric is actually from an old pillowcase, and it's been washed a few times, so it's really soft, and it has that worn look to it. All your fabric doesn't have to be brand new. I free motioned around Dora the Explorer. She's kind of like dancing in the flowers, so I thought free motioning and ziggy zag all around was perfectly fine for her too. Now I know you got Winnie the Pooh here, and Tigger's kind of lost his head and all, and I don't know. I kind of like it. And I just did a little dragonfly butterfly trail. I did little loops all around, and I think that worked out fine for him. So just have fun with them. Experiment. For what it costs to actually make these, it's just a piece of sticky felt, stiff felt that's not very expensive, and you get 4 of them out of it. Piece of scrap fabric, and whether or not you even used any adhesive in there, and then your thread. Have some fun. If it's something that doesn't turn out exactly like you like it, you can keep it yourself or just go ahead and toss it. It's not that big of a deal. You could cut it up into smaller pieces and find some other use for it. But just have fun and enjoy yourself.